Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back with another Kalista supplementary guide. We're going to be doing a ton of Kalista guides, of course, because she is, of course, the latest champion. So today we have a Lethality Kalista guide, and this one's a little bit unique because this draws kind of inspiration from League PC. You go first item opportunity there, but that item doesn't really exist in Wild Rift. But either way, it's a lethality item, so we're gonna go for lethality items. So the general way you want to build this is 3 lethality items, and then your mole reminder, and then a defensive item. So off the bat, let's just jump straight into the build. We're gonna first start off with the light Yomu's Ghostblade. It obviously is currently now probably the best lethality item. It gives you AD, ability haste, armor pen, as well as the momentum passive, which when you proc it is going to give you both attack speed and additional armor pen. Yeah. So next up, we're going to talk about the boots. So for the boots, PC, a lot of people actually like to take defensive boots. Now I've tried it out in Wild Rift, and I don't really know how I feel about it. Like, defensive boots are always good. However, I think probably going for some offensive boots is probably just going to be better. Like, maybe you could start off instead with going for lethality boots first item, something like this. Could possibly be better, or even to go for like a gluttonous greaves later on after your first lethality item might be better as well. I don't quite like the defensive boots, but they definitely do work. Then we go for Dustblade, which is the lethality item that does the next most damage after Yomu's, or technically Dustblade might even do more in terms of burst. But we go for Dustblade, again a lot of AD, ability haste, and armor pen, and you get the Night Stalker passive, which of course gives you the additional damage. Now something to take note of is that your Q does not proc the passive, you have to auto to proc the passive. So yeah. And then we go for Edge of Night for the safety, just a little bit more armor pen, but you get the health, you get the spell shield. So this one is kind of a really essential item for Kalista. Now I will say, if you actually need Serpent's Fang, the one you should probably switch out is going to be Dustblade. So you probably want to go for something like this if you really need Serpent's Fang, if there's a lot of shielding on the enemy team. And as I said, after that you go for Mole Reminder for the armor pen as well as the Grievous Wounds. And then you finally top it off with a defensive item like GA, Sterex, you know, whatever you prefer for your defensive item. And for the runes, in PC normally Hail of Blades is taken, which allows you to get off 3 quick auto attacks, but that rune does not exist in Wild Rift. Now you can't take PTA slash Empowerment because that doesn't actually give you additional attack speed, it just allows you to do more damage after 3 attacks, so that's not really going to help either. So after taking a look at like basically all of the runes, I pretty much found that First Strike is the best because it's the only one that kind of really helps your playstyle of bursting people down. You don't really want poke, so you don't really want like things like Comet. You don't really want like attack speed or Conquer or anything like that because you aren't in long fights. You want to burst people down quickly. So First Strike is pretty much your best option here. Now here I actually have Brutal, but I think Brutal may not be the best option. It might be something else like Triumph or even Gathering Storm, because again you don't auto attack that much compared to a normal Kalista build. Of course, Giant Slayer here is probably still the best rune, and here we actually do want the attack speed rune Alacrity because we don't have any attack speed from our build, so we want to have some kind of attack speed, you know, in our kit to allow us to just attack, you know, a little bit more when, you know, just in general because we don't have any attack speed at all. Bit right. So bone plating here for the defensive capabilities. Now you could go for even more armor pen with the sudden impact here, but I've personally found that I think that the build, or you already have enough damage. I think safety is actually more important here, which is why I like to go for bone plating personally. And finally, for the spells, you have flash and exhaust most of the time. Sometimes you can go for barrier if you prefer that as well. But with all that said, let's move on to talking about our gameplay. Okay, so now into the gameplay we go. So, as I briefly mentioned, I think Lethality Kalista is pretty horrible in Wild Rift. And the reason why is because this build is kind of made to snowball in the early game. It kind of falls off in the mid and late game. Because you basically are a worse version of an assassin. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on. But I think that the key thing that makes this build work in League PC and why it is the best build in League PC is because you have Hail of Blades there. Now Hail of Blades there, in case you guys don't know what it does, is basically it's like a rune, a little bit like Empowerment slash PTA, where if you attack an enemy champion, you get an insane amount of attack speed for your next 3 auto attacks for the next few seconds. So this allows you to attack someone 3 times very quickly, whereas this rune does not exist in Wild Rift. And the reason why this is so significant is this allows Kalista to get 3 quick auto attacks in, which is not only going to do damage but also stack spears onto your enemies. So then you can pull out your 3 spears together with probably the 4th spear from your Q, and this is going to basically kill them, right? But in Wild Rift, you only really have First Strike that can kind of make up for that, but First Strike doesn't help you get spears in, so it really does not work very well. So the basis of Lethality Kalista is you want to dominate the lane, right? You start getting lethality items, you start to dominate the lane with your armor penetration, and then you try to snowball and go get ahead of the curve. A little bit like what Tristana or Caitlyn kind of wants to do, where you're weak in the mid game with this build, but if you snowball enough, you're going to be strong because you're fed anyway, so it doesn't really matter that the build itself is weak because you are fed. But as I said, I really don't think it works very well in Wild Rift at all, so I'm not really a big fan. I mean, you will see that it works. Like, strictly speaking, if you wanted to go for it, is it troll? Borderline. I don't think it's really troll, but I don't think it's really good either. So I'm just not a really big fan of it, but it can kind of work. The nice hook by Nautilus, I flash in, finish off the MF with the first strike, extra gold as well, and Veigar has to flash away. So this is kind of what you want when you play Lethality Kalista. You want to get some kills in the early lane, start to snowball, get your armor pen items, and you can see here that I back and I actually pick up a Dirk and Dagger. I have extra 500 gold, so here I actually pick up an additional Dirk just because I want the maximum power possible. I don't want to have 500 gold left in my inventory, so instead of buying an additional longsword, just leaving it there, I'm just going to buy another Dirk because it's eventually going to build into one of our items anyway. So we have a double Dirk in the inventory, which is going to delay when we reach Yomu's, but for the current state in lane now, this is the most power I can get, so hopefully we can get more kills in lane with the extra like 16 armor pen, get caught onto the baby cage, but no real follow-up here. The enemy team is really overextended, and we want to kind of try to fish for another engage, or our Nautilus should be fishing for another engage, and I'm kind of just ready to follow up. Enemy team kind of goes missing though, so here instead I'm just going to continue on farming. MF does step up, nearly gets caught by the hook, but not quite. I'm stuck in the cage again, so I'm just going to exhaust Veigar, and Nautilus does pop the heal. I'm going to have to hang back a little bit, taking the fruit to get back to a healthy state. I'm not sure if they saw Jarvan walking in here. I think the minions might have spotted it. Can see both of them backing, however we aren't able to quite stop them. MF does eventually cancel a back because we're about to hit a Q, and yeah, so MF is kind of backing all the way away. No real dive angle here. We can see Yone is actually roaming down. Even though Corki didn't ping it at all, we caught it on the minimap, so we know that Yone is on the way, and a 3v3 might happen here. Here I'm just firing at whoever I can basically, and yeah, so we are gonna be able to do quite a ton of damage, but we kind of need Nautilus to CC somebody for us. Now Corki comes over with the package, but nothing really happens because the enemy team is trying to recall. So Nautilus and I are going to reset as well, picking up the other component for Yomu's, and I'm just heading back out. So one of the issues that I found with Lethality Kalista is even though you're fed, in the mid to late game you can't really assassinate someone very effectively even with your first strike and such. Like what I found is you have to first, the minimum combo you have to do is Q auto E. Like why? Because Q obviously is your main point of damage. You auto to proc the dust blade, and then you E to pull out the 2 spears you have in the person. So really the only person you can assassinate with this is the enemy ADC or enemy mage. But to do this you have to get very close, because you have to be close enough to actually auto, and hopefully you have your first strike available. You will see me do this a little bit later on in the gameplay itself. But I don't think it's very easy to execute, and it's sort of like a harder version of an assassin. Like, just think if I was somebody else, right? if I was a Kane, for example, all I need to do is to like, for example, to WQ and the person is dead. Speaking of dead, me and Kane kill each other, but I do get a shutdown. So all you need to do is like basically WQ and maybe alt if you need to, and the guy is dead. Zero counterplay, like zero effort, zero risk, in fact. But with like even with someone like Talon as well, or some any other assassin. But with Kalista, you have to get up close and personal to Q auto them, which puts yourself at a lot of risk. And you are of course a very squishy person as well. They can easily just one shot you. So I'm not quite big fan of it. Like, I mean, you could argue that normal on hit Kalista and stuff is you have to get close to enemies anyway, but the difference is that there you have a lot of life steal and a lot of sustain, whereas with this build you are a complete glass cannon. Yeah. So something else that I didn't really mention is that with this build you want to max Q. You don't want to max E. Your Q is your main form of damage, so you want to max your Q first. But as you can see, not too much action is happening. We have completed the Yo moves and we're building our boots now. But not too much action is really happening here. We're just farming a lot, which is of course nothing wrong with that. But we really want to find fights because early game is where we are really strong. A little bit like a Draven style. Here we get a plate. Veigar comes in with the cage and we can't really do very much more. The Veigar and MF are playing quite well around the fact that, you know, we are strong early game and they definitely don't want to fight us early game. So that is definitely the way to go. Now here, Nautilus and Jarvan both go in. I'm gonna just focus the Veigar. I get stunned a little bit, and they do kill MF while she's caught in the ult without a flash. And I actually nearly get the Veigar here because we have a lot of lethality, as I said. So here, I was trying to ult so that Nautilus could go in on Veigar, but Nautilus just decides not to jump out. Like, this is solo queue, so sometimes you and your support are not gonna be on the same page. My intention here was pretty simple. I ult Nautilus just ult on top of Veigar and we get a free kill. Now, Kayn was coming, so it probably was not that free anyway. But at least we could have traded instead of me just dying for nothing, right? Considering I already used my ult and all. But I do notice that there are just some solo queue supports that refuse to dive. Like there are solo queue supports that they just don't want to tank tower because they feel that they're at risk when they tank tower, even if they're playing an engaged support. So that's probably why the Nautilus just did not go in. He wasn't low or anything either. So yeah, I mean, here MF gets caught. You can see boom, the Q auto and just the E just instantly just one shots her. The Q damage does about half of her health now. Veigar is a lot more tanky though, so he doesn't take as much damage, but we are able to kill him as well. Veigar is going for Frozen Heart, so that's probably why he is a lot more tanky than MF. Like, he takes a lot less damage because he already had the components for Frozen Heart. And here, you know, pick up a double, we, you know, clear the wave, and now we're 4-2-2 with like 7k gold. Now the issue is, although we have a lot of gold compared to our team, Renekton and Kayn are even more fed. Like, Renekton is 1-2-1, but he's gotten all of the tower plate in gold, so he's really fed. Kayn has gotten a lot of kills as well, so he's the most fed guy in the game, and he can easily just one-shot us. Here comes Renekton. We try to flash away, and we do. Hop out of the cage right in time. Nautilus is getting caught though. I'm gonna have to ult Nautilus to pull him to safety, which we do. And Nautilus goes out in the wrong way, back into danger, but thankfully no one is there to finish the job. So here we pick up our Dust Blade, obviously a huge second item, Power Spike, where we can, you know, obviously assassinate people a lot more easily. Now, so you can see 1Q almost one-shots the wave, just because of how much AD we have. Now here there's a blue buff fight happening. Nautilus Blast comes straight into Veigar's cage, which is a little bit unfortunate, but also a little bit comical. Just getting rid of the enemy vision in the area. Double sweepers by the support and jungle here to clear the vision. Can spot Kayn. Jarvan goes in on Veigar, but Veigar flashes away. Good of Jarvan to not ult and just bait the Veigar flash. And here Nautilus is kind of getting caught by the Yone, or is Yone getting caught because he gets hit by a huge Q from me and the E, but barely survives on 1 HP. Renekton and Kayn are now coming in, the two actual fed members. Kayn is getting caught, has to ult, Yone is back in. I'm eating the MF ult. Unfortunately, I get stunned right at the tip by the Veigar cage and end up dying to the MF ult because of that. However, thankfully Corki is able to clean up the rest, which is kind of what I was trying to do, except that I got CC'd inside the MF ult, so that's no good. So here Dragon is alive, which is kind of what we were trying to do, or both teams were kind of trying to do there, but not too successfully, because we just end up in a fight where everybody died. And now Dragon is still up again. Corki is able to take package this time, so we are going to have a package advantage. Meanwhile, there's a 1v1 in the top lane between the two top laners, so it's probably going to be a 4v4 in this Dragon fight, if there even is one. So here Jarvan is starting up the Dragon and Yone gets caught. You can see the huge burst damage from me over the wall. Now I'm hopping over to try to help to focus the Dragon. MF ult comes in. I'm just going to hop over to the side. Q goes in onto Kayn. Auto E for the burst damage onto the Kayn. Kayn is down. Now MF has to run the wrong direction. Just a quick Q to the face to get the quick kill onto MF. And Veigar, we know he's somewhere in here, sending in the ghost to check the bush. Veigar spotted, and Q onto the Veigar for the triple kill. And yeah, we are getting super duper fed. You can see me and Corki are both over 10k gold. So is Renekton and Kayn though, so it's kind of a contest of who can carry harder in this particular game. Both teams are kind of equal in terms of gold. Each team has 2 fed members and 3 people who are just not as fed as the fed members, I guess you could say. But here Nautilus goes in with the ulti. And following up, me and Corki both following up. This time Corki is the one that picks up a double, which is great because spreading the goal between people is you know, a good thing as well. So that if one of the fed members die, the other one can still carry the fight, like what happened in the previous fight where I died and Corki pretty much was able to take care of the rest. And here now I have my spell shield with the Edge of Night. So extra layer of safety here to not get caught by like a it could be something like a Kayn W, could be something like a Veigar cage, could be an MFQ, whatever the case may be. You know, we have the extra level of safety. And here mid tower unprotected. I'm just gonna quickly grab the enemy's mid tower. Kayn and Renekton show up to the party just a few seconds too late to stop me, but I'm gonna have to back off because they can easily kill me, especially since they're both incredibly fed. Here Nautilus tries to fish for something but gets stuck in the cage instead. Now here I'm trying to just focus this tower since it's relatively unprotected. Jarvan is split pushing on the other side as well. So we're kind of forcing the enemy team around the map to try to stop us from taking towers. The Raptor Pit ward actually spots the Kayn coming over. So we are able to back off. And here we're actually on 2 dragons. So next dragon is actually going to be Infernal Soul for us, which of course is going to be a very good soul. So we definitely want to try to get that here. Kayn is kind of semi getting caught in the jungle, but not quite. Yeah, so Corki, actually I would have given him the blue buff, but he just walks away. So it looks like he's not interested in getting a blue buff, so I'm just going to grab the blue buff. Kalista's mana is like alright. You do run out of it sometimes, but it's not really the biggest problem. You definitely don't need blue buff. You want to give it to your mage or whoever else needs it more. Of course you do want red buff though. So there is that. So here we pick up the stasis, and the main reason for the stasis is to kind of counteract you know, champions like Kayn or Yone who can basically just one-shot me instantly if I get caught out of position. So stasis hopefully can help me buy some time, and hopefully my team can save me afterwards. Although of course you can never really fully rely on your team. So here Nautilus again fishing for a hook. Kind of a fight on 2 fronts because Gwen and like Kayn are kind of hovering around the other side of the Baron Pit for a fight also. So honestly nothing much is happening here because neither team is really strong enough to do Baron in front of the other team's face. So we're kind of just in awkward mid-game position again. Here I just get a little bit of poke in onto the Veigar, but he is of course really tanky. Nautilus misses kind of a point blank hook and gets stunned instead. You can see Renekton coming from behind, so I'm coming up away from Renekton. And here, nearly finish him off, but unfortunately I get stunned under tower, tank like a tower shot, and a Veigar ult, but I'm actually absolutely fine. No lifesteal in this build whatsoever, by the way, so you are really squishy. In the meantime, Yone is actually split pushing and actually gets the inhib, which is no good. Yeah, so now we're just cleaning up the wave. Of course, popping the vision plant to check if Yone is still in our jungle. Dragon Soul is coming up right now for my team, so we do want to grab that if we can. Blast plant over the wall, and I'm just, just stacking spears into the dragon. Kayn is here, and it's kind of going to be a smite fight. Unfortunately, we lose the smite fight because Kayn gets it, and yeah, we're kind of stuck in the pit here. I'm just going to flash back out because I don't want to be stuck in the pit. Blasting Renekton over the wall though, and helping Jarvan to pick up the kill. Jarvan EQs out of there, and yeah, a little bit unfortunate. We didn't get the smite, so we didn't get the Infernal Soul. Really kind of unfortunate here. But yeah, so instead we're just gonna go ahead and just clear minions. So here this is gonna present a huge problem, because if you guys notice, Baron is up, and this is the wave opposite of Baron. So this is going to be perma pushing into my team because of the super minions. And this is gonna mean someone is going to have to handle this wave. If not, the minions might stack up, slow push, and end the game. But Baron is on the opposite side of the map, so if someone is there clearing the wave, enemy team is going to have a numbers advantage on Baron. So this is kind of the effect of having one of your inhibs down. It's either going to be Dragon or Baron that's going to be the issue, but I think Baron being the issue is kind of a bigger problem most of the time, unless it is Elder Dragon. So here you can see the one shot on MF. So here I'm going to go for a one shot. I believe, if I remember correctly, this is where I go for the one shot on someone. Maybe not, maybe it's not here, but it was around this area that I one-shot the MF with the basic kind of combo, the Q auto E kind of combo for the Lethality version of Kalista. It doesn't look like it's it. So you can see Renekton is actually pushing it, and we need someone to stop Renekton. So here Corki actually goes back to stop Renekton, which, as I said, Corki is one of our primary carries other than myself. So we are not going to really have Corki there to help us out with the damage. It'll be a lot better if Gwen could be the one to go. So here you can see me one-shotting the Misfortune basically with the combo, and now I'm going to move on to Yone. His shield will pop, I exhaust him, we finish him off as well. So we do get kills onto both of them. Elder Dragon has been up for some time now, and the issue is that we can't do either because our jungler is dead. So instead we're going to try to go for inhibs because we have waves. Kayn does get the Elder Dragon though, so that is definitely a little bit risky. We get the mid inhib, and now we're going for the top inhib. We are 3 men strong, so even though they have Elder Dragon, it is still pretty alright, as long as we don't get one shot by the Kayn. Here Renekton flashes in, gets CC'd, and just dies, so Elder is only on Kayn. So this Elder is not really the strongest because his whole team is dead and only Kayn has Elder. So we just need to not get one shot by Kayn, which surprisingly this match he hasn't actually done that yet. Maybe he's been going for Corki instead of me or something like that, but he hasn't been going for me. So now I'm 10-3 and 10 with basically almost full item build. We have the armor penetration item already within the Maul Reminder, and last item gonna be like GA for the revive, of course, in this particular match. Particularly helpful because of the burst damage and also because of the heavy AD on the enemy team. And here there is a ping for Baron, but I think this is really risky because we've already seen that Jarvan is not really the best smiter, and we have Kayn still alive, who does a lot more damage than Jarvan in terms of the smite. And here Jarvan doesn't even smite at all because he didn't have it, and instead MF just gets the Baron. Nautilus just dies instantly, and it's just a disaster basically. So you have to watch out for Kayn, who still has Elder, remember, so I'm just kiting away. Renekton is chasing me, so I'm basically zoned out from the main part of the fight by Renekton. And here I realized that with the Baron, they can actually use the bot wave to end. So here you can see I'm pinging the bot wave. I need like Gwen or Corki to help me clear the bot wave because I have no wave clear because I have no Runaan's Hurricane. So Like, I barely do anything in the wave, and we need to clear this wave quickly, but unfortunately we can't clear it quickly enough because Kane comes over the Baron buff, and pretty much at this point I know the game's pretty much over because there's like 5 cannon minions just blasting, and like we can't clear them, and they're so tanky. And the other waves are coming in as well. Here we do get a kill on Kane though. Pop the stasis to try to survive. We come out of the stasis straight into the stun, get one shot by Veigar, and we actually end up losing the game. Which is probably not what a lot of people expected, because most of the gameplays we post are going to be wins. However, I think that this game really shows how Lethality Kalista works in the early game and kind of just falls off a little bit later on in the game. You can see here with the stats that Corki ended up doing more damage than me overall, which is not surprising because, as I said, we kind of fall off in the later stages of the game. So I'm going to leave you guys with the rest of the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.